Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Building a Leadership Mindset podcast. I'm your host, Nikki C., all the way from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, here with an amazing guest that we have on today. I had the pleasure of sharing the stage with her back in May of last year at the CLA Bomb Global. I was going to say the Bomb Global Summit. At the CLA Global Summit, we shared an amazing time on a women's panel. But before we get into this amazing guest, I do want to just shout out to my son, Vicente Cuesta, for actually creating that theme song for our intro. And it is the Make It Count theme song for Bomb Global and Ladies of Leadership. Super proud of the journey that he's been on. And I also want to send a super shout out to our sponsors. Thank you so much to Carolyn Bob Green with Training You to Succeed, as well as Julia Noah with Breathe Capital Planning, and of course our Top Fox company, who has graciously sponsored our very own Top Fox Shades for our new anthology launching in Chicago at the Empower to Inspire Kickoff Tour, which is happening May 17th for our new anthology called Taking Off the Shades. It's a relationship book to give you the tools and get you equipped to not choose the wrong one. But they're all relationships, not just relationships with a significant other, but also relationships with yourself, with God, with universe, with your children, with your parents. So a great anthology, 43 authors, and we're super excited to be launching that very soon. But let's get to our guest, and her name is Dr. Barnsley Brown, and she has a 97% success rate helping big-hearted business owners soar into six figures and beyond, fast with fun. She offers the Make It Happen Mastermind Group Coaching Program, Gets Results Now Laser Coaching Program, and Transformational Reiki Training for Business Owners. Dr. Barnsley is also known as the host of the popular Bold Badass Business Show, and she has a special gift, and we'll be talking about that very soon. But without further ado, let's get this badass on here. Hey, Dr. Barnsley, how are you?
Hey, Nikki, it's so good to be here with you. My dogs are so excited that they're barking in the background.
Yes, that is okay. We are going to get through it. So great to have you on today and to share who you are, what you do. And I just first want to say thank you for now joining the Bomb Global podcast family. You will actually be featured in our next 50 of our top 200 episodes, which we are about to hit very, very soon. So super glad to have you on that. And we'll be inviting you back soon.
Thank you so much, and congratulations. That's a lot of episodes, Nikki. Woo-hoo.
Yes. Loving to bring just what amazing individuals are doing in the spaces that we share. And you have been, since being part of the Connected Leaders Academy and just getting to know you and what you do, I would love for you to share first. Where did it all start? Give us a little bit about your background, your upbringing, your mindset through that journey until you finally decided, I'm going to be the badass I'm going to be.
Yeah, it's an evolution. So I'll tell you that my family was quite dysfunctional growing up. My father was an alcoholic and also bipolar, and my mother had a lot of stress and was raging basically a lot of the time. So I was the quiet lost kid. I was the one who kept her nose in a book. So of course I went and did a PhD, right, Nikki? Of course, because books were my way to survive, to get away from that toxic environment. And I remember, I'll just shorten that to say that I remember at age 16, very consciously making a decision. And the decision was, I will be happy. that was the decision. I will be happy now. I will be happy. And I began really my happiness journey there. And I began, I changed the dynamics in my family a lot of ways by it was a very cold family, but I would hug and I would bring the warmth. And those of you who know me know that I'm a hugger. Like that's the first thing I do when I go into a networking event is I hug all the people I know, people I haven't seen in a while. And then new people I meet, I do offer them a hug, but that was very important to me. It's about love and it's about acceptance, and about the fact that all people matter. Every single person is a leader. Leadership is not from a title. It doesn't come from a title. It comes from who you are. And I'm so grateful now, Nikki, for all the trials of my childhood. I really am. I'm so grateful now because it made me who I am, and it made me a person who can really see into people's souls in many ways and know what's going on even when they don't say it. So
Yeah.
it brought me on this journey. And in terms of the business journey, I'll just say quickly that, I've been in business 24 years. I can hardly believe that. Actually, it's 24 and a half years. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. We're getting old. And my business started out very much with one-on-one work, and then I kept being asked to speak at business centers because they said, you're so good at marketing, you're really great at marketing, why don't you come speak, and it just kept happening, and I was being paid to speak. So I just continued that trajectory and working with people one-on-one and leading Reiki stress relief trainings, and then realized, oh, all of this needs to come together into one thing, and that became Reiki stress relief for business owners and badass business coaching. So that's where I am now. And, the beauty is that when COVID happened, Nikki, and I know you're a person of faith, I wasn't afraid. So many people were afraid, but I was grateful. I felt like it was a time for us to slow down and realign with what source, God, that loving energy wants us to do. And so I asked, what should I do? And the answer was, Barnsley, start the mastermind you've been talking about and thinking about for over a decade. And that's what I did, Nikki. On a Tuesday, I put it out on Facebook, did a little fun little prize drawing to give away one spot in it. And by the following Monday, I had 13 enrolled. And it started there.
Hmm.
And this is my Make It Happen Mastermind group coaching program. It is for women, big hearted entrepreneurs who want to soar into six figures and more, because 87.3% of business owners never make it to six figures. 87.3% never
Hmm.
make it to six figures. And even less women do. And, we've got to really have money. Money isn't everything, but we want to have money so that we can give, so that we can save animals, so that we can stop human trafficking, so that we can have an impact, be philanthropists in the world, so we can stake people to college,
Yeah.
stake young people who deserve it to college.
Wow.
Yeah.
Barnsley, there's so much stuff. So it, as you can see, I'm like taking notes, and there's a few things that stood out. First of
Yeah.
all, what a beautiful gift to get at 16 to make a choice and say, I'm going to live it my way, and happiness is
Yes.
all I desire, and that's going to bring everything else along. And I'm sure there was bumps and bruises in the roads,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
throughout the
yeah.
journey, which happens. The fact that you have been in business or entrepreneurship and really following your true passion for the past 24 years, just I know will give a lot of audience hope that they can do it too. But let's talk about some of those trials, sometimes where our mindsets were challenged. Can you share something that kind of stood out, where it was a pivotal moment where you were just going to either throw in the towel or you were going to keep on going? And then we'll go into that COVID thing, because I have a big viewpoint on that, and I just want to know if you agree. So for now, just tell us that what are some of the battles with your own mindset with building that leadership within throughout your journey throughout those 24 years?
Quitting was never an option, Nikki. I'm serious. And it's a thing I say to my clients. Quitting is not an option. And really, the trials were more before it, in terms of the idea of quitting, happened when I was a college professor. Okay. So I finished my PhD in 1996, and then I taught at Wake Forest University. I taught at Duke for a summer, and I taught at UNC Chapel Hill. All great schools. I love the teaching part, but I hated the politics and I hated having my voice squelched.
Mm.
Right. And as a strong woman, you know me, I'm extremely direct, as are you. It's something I really love about you is you are not afraid to say what you think, and we need to have people like that around us. But I felt like I was squelched in academia, and I went on job interview after job interview, and there were like 800 people applying for each position, and every time, Nikki, I was number 2. 2. And number 1 would take it. And these were places, when I really thought about it, they were not places I wanted to go. They really weren't. They weren't places I wanted to go move to. I would have enjoyed the teaching part, but I wouldn't have enjoyed the place. I really love where I am in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I've grown up in North Carolina. I've lived abroad, but this is home. So at that time, I realized, and I just want to say this to those of you listening, if things continue and you continue being second or third, or, the universe is saying something to you. And what it was saying to me is, this isn't your path. This is not your path. And you'll love this, Nikki. Right before I started my business, the man who had walked out, who was confused, right? He'd walked out because he was confused. And the tenure track job offer showed up the very same day. This is the year 2000. And I said no to both. And that's when everything shifted. So I want to say to everybody, you got to say no to what you don't want. You got to say no to what you don't want so you can say yes to what you do want. And maybe you don't even know what you want yet, but saying no is going to take you closer.
Mm.
So that was turbulent. Here I was, Nikki, I'd done all this work, 25 years of education. I was the first female PhD in my family. I worked 3 jobs to get through, in case anybody ever says, yo, you had it on a silver platter. No, I didn't. I put myself through school, working 3 jobs, and did it for 25 years, essentially, to get that PhD. And I'm so glad I did it, because I said when I was 8 years old, I was going to do it, and I freaking did it. But then to realize that, oh, I'm not going to be doing the thing I thought I was going to be doing. I liked the idea of being a professor. I liked the idea of being in a university. I liked the idea of people seeing me kind of as the sage and being able to teach. But what happened is I realized, oh, this isn't my path. If I'm there, I'll be, and here we go back to happiness, 75% happy, 75% happy, and I want to be 95% or more happy.
Mm.
And
That's
that's
just
when I started my business, literally the year 2000. It was after I said no to both those things. And for a year, the year earlier, I had come up with my business name, Spirited Solutions, and I had done a business card a year before that. And I had been taking business classes. So it's like my subconscious knew, we're preparing you, and God knew, I'm preparing you. And because if I'd been first, I probably would have felt like I had to go to those schools. Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's never failure, you all. I could have seen that as failure. Like, oh crap, here I am, number 2 again. I'm a failure, right? No, I wasn't a failure. Divine Spirit was saying, this is not your arena, Barnsley. You're made for something else. You're made to bring everything you care about together. You're made to have way more creativity, spontaneity, travel, joy, expressiveness. and then is allowed in academia. I was
Yeah.
always weird in academia in many ways, you know?
Oh my goodness. You see a smile on my face because it's like you're telling a little bit of my story,
I
right?
love that.
Let's go back to 2020. By this time, I was already a realtor. Found out very quickly in 2015 that that just wasn't my arena.
Yep.
And I didn't like the paperwork. I didn't like the time constraints. I felt
Yes.
like I was just a huge connector. So I redirected and became a referral agent. You want to buy a house, you want to sell a house, here you go, send me the check when you go to closing. I was good, right? But you have to be aware of what your desires are, what your values are. And if those opportunities don't fit that, then yes, absolutely say no. But fast forward to that, I lost my brother in 2018, said
Mhm.
accidental overdose, which could
Mm.
have totally knocked me out
Oh,
of
wow.
my path. And having that happen and going through those months of depression, but really realizing like life is too short. Unfortunately, his loss was a gift, right? And I'll say, fortunately, definitely I miss him. He's my brother. He was like the other half of me.
Mm.
But it sometimes in our lives, it takes those times of grief to actually open up our eyes to why life matters, finding our purpose. And I felt like when we got smacked in the face with COVID, it was really 2020, right? It was in the year 2020. In
Yeah.
hindsight, 2020 is perfect vision. So you had two options in that time. And while we were going through it, I was in corporate working 60 to 80 hours, loving what I did, but it was just too much. Being number two, right? As a corporate
Yeah.
trainer, I was training people and they
Yes.
were getting the jobs that I was applying for, but it was really me getting prepared for what I do today.
Isn't
And
it perfect that it didn't work out because it
yes,
wasn't meant to? And by the way, I just want to say I lost my brother 5 years ago, and I worked to have a relationship with him because our relationship was I was the one working always in the family to bring the family together. But I get it. I get what you're saying. When we go through heartbreak, I always say we can create, our heart breaks, but it also breaks open. Our heart breaks open. And I know that I did a whole lot of vulnerable Facebook lives. There was abuse that I was remembering during COVID because of the chance to have things come up. There were
Mhm.
things that I was remembering, such as sexual abuse from my childhood, and I did some very vulnerable Facebook Lives. And some people might say, well, that's so weird. You shouldn't do that in the business arena. But you know what? I believe that people are attracted to us in business because of who we are.
Mhm.
And if we're duplicitous and we pretend to be somebody who we're not, then it's all a sham. So the
Yeah.
thing is to become who you really are, to become who you really are. And something I thought about when you were speaking, Nikki, is that I say this to my clients. I say, look for the zing. Look for the zing. And in business, especially when you're in business for decades, the zing is going to change. The zing
Multiple
used to be presenting at business seminars. The zing for me was presenting to audiences of 1,500 and having a standing ovation. That was a zing then, but my zing now is getting really deep with people. So they really move the crap in their mindset that is holding them back. And then they have the business strategy that we create for them to go to soar into six figures, be proud of who they are, have a business that is sustainable, and never need to go back to a job they hate in some cubicle somewhere,
Which was my dream, to be like in a cubicle, and I get my
Right.
chance at 23 with no background. Someone took a chance on me and I just soaked everything up and I just wanted to pay that forward. So I'm over here 2020 crossing my fingers, hoping they lay me off with a severance package so I don't have to make the decision myself. But
Mm,
come October of that year, I was like, I'm done. I'm like,
Yes.
done. Like, I want happy. I want peace. I want a world, a lifestyle of just me giving and
Yes.
receiving in ways that matter, in ways that makes the difference, in ways that moves the needle so that other people can take a chance on that. So I don't know if you feel comfortable with sharing this story, but I don't know if you remember, we were on a group together and you had shared a story about someone's mom. And again, I don't know how comfortable you feel, something that happened and, she's no longer with us. And, um,
I'm trying to remember which story. I have
yeah.
so many stories. It makes me laugh when I had a speaker call me from National Speakers Association. We were both in there, and he called me. We became friends, and he called me and he said, "Can I use your story about da da da?" And I said, "Sure, you can use it. Just
Well,
use my name."
yeah,
But he said it's such a great story. But I was thinking, don't you have enough stories? Like I have stories every day. Every
yeah.
day is full of stories. I'm trying to think. Uh, I'm trying to think what it
I'll
tell.
kind
I
of refresh your
will
memory
share.
a little bit more. I think it was a lady that you were going to help, but for some reason you had fear about speaking up about what you do because you didn't want to step on anybody's toes, but you wanted to
Mm.
offer the service, but you kind of kept it to yourself. And then something kind of tragic happened. And that was
Oh,
the
yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, yes. Yes. That is a story that was one of those well, that's a moment that was one of those very poignant moments in the early years of my business where I realized quitting is not an option. So there was a head of a department at a major research institution, actually North Carolina State University. Every state has like two major research institutions. It's a great, in other words, she was really great at her work. All right. And she had actually found out about me, I think, through my own mother. Somehow they knew each other. And we got connected. And we were talking about having her in for a Reiki training to come to one of my Reiki trainings so she could relieve stress because she was extremely stressed out. Being the head of a department, an academic department is not easy. And it's like being the CEO essentially. It's a hard job. You got to make everybody happy and yeah, and you have to be a big diplomat. Anyway, she told me at that time when we had this powerful conversation about what Reiki could do for her stress levels and how it could help her have energy and have some joy. She basically said, "No, I don't have time." And instead of standing for her, Nikki, I just accepted it. I said, "Oh, I understand, my own stories of academia is hard. Academia takes all your time. My own stories were coming up, right?" That's where we get into trouble when we let our own stories come up and interfere. And so I said, "Oh, that's okay. That no worries." So then I found out about probably 6 months later that this woman had hung herself and her 11-year-old son had found her. And I realized at that time that holding back because we think somebody will feel pressured or uncomfortable or think we're pushy or salesy or anything else is not an option. This is not an option. We've got to stand for people. And standing for people means not backing down and not accepting their excuses. So this is where I would say I adopted one of my most important phrases. One is right now. You'll see often with my titles, it's something, something, something right now. And another is no matter what. No matter what. Not backing down. And so I became very different. I began to work on my enrollment skills, Nikki. I realized people pleasing and being a people pleaser in an arena like that can result in tragedy. So I just want to say to everyone listening, you've got to be a stand. When you're in business, you have to be a stand for the people who need you and not back down, because they may not even know they need you. They may not even know they need you, but they do. And they, we don't want to be selfish about what we have. And that's where I really realized that. And I was so sad, as a mom, to think about that, her son, finding her, imagine, dangling in their house, coming home from school, and his mom is hanging.
Yeah.
Think about it, you all. We've got to be a stand for people
Yeah.
and not
And
back down.
that story actually has stood with me since I heard it when we were in that intimate setting in one of our masterminds. And I
Yes.
immediately took that back to my community and shared that story. And they were just like, and obviously I couldn't have done it verbatim, but just the mindset and the concept of us backing down from just accepting people to say, you know what, I don't have the time.
Or
Well,
I don't have the money,
yeah,
or all the excuses. This is a
yeah,
no excuse zone. Actually, when people come into my Make It Happen mastermind, it's the no excuse zone. It really is. And there's always a way, right? And I just want to tie it back to those of us who go through, everybody goes through trials and tribulations in life. All right. And if you think you don't, your nose is growing. That's all I have to say. If you think you don't, we need to have a conversation. But we all go through trials. We all go through tough times. We all go through, I believe everybody goes through moments of depression, of sadness, of grief, of pain, of feeling lost, of feeling unmotivated. We're human. This is the human experience. It's part of the human experience. And then we also have those moments of just pure bliss and flow and excitement and joy and energy, to balance it out. But the thing is to have no excuses for not continuing with your mission. And the thing is to get the support around you that you need, to get some amazing coaches who are never going to give up on you. So when you don't believe in yourself, you can borrow their belief in you.
yes,
That's the
that's
thing. And
so
get a
beautiful.
team around you, Get a team around
Absolutely.
you. You need your tax person, you need your virtual assistant, you need your personal organizer, you need your hairstylist, you need your mechanic, you need your insurance person, you need your legal help.
Yes.
You know, you need your team around you, but especially have a comprehensive coaching program. And I'll tell you, Nikki, my business really took off when I finally realized, and that was over a decade into my business. Like I tried to piece everything together, oh,
Mm,
let's get this over here. Oh, let's get this. That does not work, you all. I entered into transformational leadership trainings that were extremely comprehensive, invested thousands in myself for the first time. And this was when I was separated and going through divorce. And that began this whole trajectory. And now I invest between, at least 30,000 a year in my business, just in coaching alone.
that's
Why?
beautiful. Thank you.
Because that's what you gotta do if you wanna have a six-figure business, y'all. Listen to me. You don't
Yeah.
get to six figures by piecing crap together. You don't get to six figures by being cheap with yourself. You get to six figures by and beyond by finding somebody who's done what you wanna do. They're ahead of you. You resonate with their energy. They have the business acumen. They can show you the way. They have results, and you align yourself with them, and you get in a small, I'm going to say this, you get in a small program, because when you're in a large program, it's very easy to be lost, to
Mm,
fall through the cracks. And this is why, you know what, I had those 13 people, Nikki, they were too many. I realized that quickly. And so now I really prefer just to have 8 women in my group. 8. And that is why they get the results, because everybody shows up. There's
Yeah.
no option for being, oh, well, I have a headache, I'm not coming. No, there's no option for not sending me their daily RGAs by text, the revenue generating options. Isn't this a pretty cover on my cell
Yep,
phone?
that
No
is.
option for not showing up. And
Yep.
so that's why, and the program is comprehensive. That's why they get the results. So I would say to everybody, these are very important things to consider as you approach your business. What happens to lone wolves? Really, what happens to lone wolves? They die in the cold by themselves. And it is not good as an entrepreneur, and especially as a female entrepreneur. We thrive on connection and collaboration. We are naturally relational as women, which is one of our greatest strengths in business.
Yes, that's why we got to show it off and show it off well,
Yes,
where we can definitely support each other. And there's enough for everyone. And the whole point is to get to posture yourself as the authority in your expertise. People are waiting for it. They need it. They desire it, but they need to know you're there. So it's time
they
to
do.
show up. It's time to show up. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to look at our sizzle reel for our Empower to Inspire that happened last year, and then we're going to come back and we're going to get you connected with Dr. Barnsley on how you can grab her free ebook that she's actually offered, subscribe to her YouTube channel, and how you can connect with her as well for what she has to offer. So we'll be right back. Hello, hello. I am so sorry, but we are back. That is just a quick snippet of what you will feel and receive, and just being a part of a community and the Empower to Inspire, and how to leverage these rooms beyond just that date, just going into conversations, podcast interviews, masterminds, and everything else when you really make those connections and collaborations. So, just a sneak peek, you can check that out on www.buildingaleadershipmindset.com. But let me tell you, Dr. Barnsley, you have bring some gems. You have bring your heart. You have bring some wisdom and some right now shift attitudes that we can do when it comes to our business. How can people get a hold of you? And what are you working on?
Oh gosh, I love this question. So people can get a hold of me, especially I love Facebook Messenger. I really do. It's a great way to reach out because I'm going to see it and emails get lost. But I will tell you all that you can receive, I have an ebook. I know we were going to talk about that at some point, and it's
Yeah.
going, the website under there, spirited-solutions.com is where you can get that ebook, and that gives you my contact information as well. But you can find, and you can reach out with the contact you page there too. I will get it, but Facebook is where I hang out. So go find me. It's facebook.com/DRBARNSLEY. And if you message me, you're going to hear back from me. So just go in and message. You can follow me because I've got so many folks there. So I think now you can't friend me, but you can message me and I will return the message. What I can say, Nikki, is that I offer on my website I also offer a Get Results Now complimentary session, which is valued at $497. And so when they go to spirited-solutions.com, when you go there at the top, you'll see the ebook. Just scroll down a tiny bit and you'll see the link to the application for that complimentary session. Even just filling the application out for you is going to be powerful. The application is carefully constructed to help you see where you are and see where you want to go and to identify what is holding you back. So it doesn't take that long. It's like 11 minutes. I say 11 minutes. I think it can take you less, but it will let you know where you are, where you want to go, and what's holding you back. And then once you fill it out, I receive it and we schedule.
Awesome. And I do actually have the link scrolling on the bottom. Get your results
Yay!
now session. Definitely get your hands on that. It's just going to help us understand where we are and where we want to be. And Barnsley is your girl for that. Also, the
And we'll get to know each other a little bit too, because it's so important that when you partner with somebody like a coach in business, you need to be comfortable with that person. It is like your hairstylist. Would you go to a hairstylist who didn't know your name and didn't know anything about your life? You've got to feel comfortable energetically with that person. And so it's like our mutual interview. We're both interviewing each other in that session to see if we're a good fit or not. And that's very
Absolutely.
important.
Absolutely. I love that. And the ebook, it's actually how to overcome overwhelm in 7 easy steps. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, you need to download this ASAP. Thank you so much, Dr. Barnsley. If you want to just leave a last note with us before we close out the show. And thank you again. It has been a pleasure having an amazing conversation with you. You said we were going to have a blast, and I think we sure did.
We absolutely did. I love the questions you asked, Nikki. You are such a big heart. I want to reflect that back to you. And something that I love about you is that you are giving people an arena to share their stories and their wisdom and their journeys. And that's incredible. So I just want to reflect that back to you. And for those of you listening, what I want to say to you is take action. Take an action today. Go fill out the application and let's meet. Go download the ebook, but probably if you do that, you're not going to read it. So I'm going to say, take action. Do something specific as a result of what you've heard today. Write down the zings in your life, write down the zings in your business, fill out the application. Let's have that coaching session. Go check out Balm Global, but take a specific action and do it today. No excuses, no matter what.
Right now. And we are going to close out the show with what I always like to say, make it count. Thank you for listening to another episode of Building a Leadership Mindset podcast. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.